So glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Thursday. Parliamentary showdown, a first big challenge for Mark Carney's budget.
For those who have to make that vote today, they should reflect.
We'll tell you what to expect in the next few hours.
It's really unfortunate.
I sure as hell wouldn't want to be working without any pay.
What the U.S. travel turbulence means for Canadians.
I would like to apologise to Canada for wearing it.
Plus, Prince Harry tells CTV News the reason he wore that Dodgers hat.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
A major test for the Prime Minister in the form of a challenge to Mark Carney's budget. The first confidence vote is happening tonight and coming on amendments by the Bloc and the Conservatives. Both parties separately are calling for the budget to be rejected. CTV's Rachel Aiello joins us from Ottawa. Okay, Rachel, walk us through what's happening and what it all means.
Yeah, hey Sandy. So tonight MPs are going to be voting on a Conservative sub-amendment to the budget. They're essentially trying to reject Prime Minister Mark Carney's first ever federal budget with this motion. And so on that basis, the Liberal government has decided to deem this vote, as well as the vote coming up on a block motion tomorrow, as matters of confidence. Now, that would mean that if the government fails to get the numbers it needs to pass this vote, it could fall and trigger an election. However, we have had some late-breaking confirmation from the NDP that those 7 MPs are going to be rejecting the Conservative vote, essentially giving the Liberals the numbers they need to hold on tonight anyways. Take a listen.
The Conservatives want, massive cuts to public spending. That's exactly the opposite direction that New Democrats think we need to go in, which is investing in Canadian economy at this point. So there's absolutely no way we're going to support the Conservative motion today.
All right, so Rachel, as you said, the government is safe. There's no chance that Mark Carney's Liberals will fall. So what's this all about?
Yeah, so they at least, Sandy, won't fall tonight, but it is still a live question for tomorrow's vote. That'll be on the block motion, which is a confidence matter, and Davies, the NDP interim leader, was saying today that he is still deciding with his caucus how they will vote on that. And then, of course, should that one be another one the Liberals survive, there is the big question about a week from now, the week of November 17th, on the main motion, whether or not the House of Commons is going to approve Prime Minister Mark Carney's first ever federal budget. The break there is because MPs are going to be spending all next week, Sandy, trying to sell it in their ridings.
Okay, so it's not over yet. All right. Thanks, Rachel. CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Now, in that budget, if it passes, aside from spending to stimulate the economy, are cuts to government agencies like Statistics Canada, which is responsible for collecting, analyzing, and disseminating data. CTV's Abigail Beeman looks into how anticipated slashing will affect that sector. And you, Abigail.
Sandy, no one is answering which data is at risk of no longer being collected from a budget document short on details.
It really worries me.
Munir Sheikh resigned as Canada's chief statistician over the Harper government's 2010 decision to kill the long-form census. Today, he's concerned about new Statistics Canada cuts in the budget, saying Canada already has substantial data gaps, which will now multiply.
Cuts at an organization like Statistics Canada is an indication that our country is getting poorer and we can't afford to do the things that are an absolute necessity.
Deep in the budget annex, under department-specific cuts, it reads, the frequency of data collection will be reduced where the requirements can be met through statistical modeling or other modern methods. In addition, adjustments will be made to the frequency and level of detail collected for data sets which demonstrate less relevance to Canadians.
CTV News asked Statistics Canada and the Finance Department a whole slew of questions. What type of data will be collected less often? What will be collected with fewer details? And who decides what has less relevance for Canadians? They didn't answer any of them.
In a statement, a Department of Finance official said further details on savings under the Comprehensive Expenditure Review will be available through Statistics Canada in due course.
Lack of information always makes me nervous.
Biostatistician Erica Moody says the work of Statistics Canada is critical from government to business to community groups to your personal life, and less of it is worrying.
cuts to these data collection, the fineness of this data collection could impact things like transit lines in my neighborhood. On the other side, as a researcher, it also affects the work done by my students.
Oh, and from our archives, among those in support of Statistics Canada during the long-form census death fiasco, then Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney.
We will need to evaluate the impact of any proposed changes.
The former head of Statistics Canada warns if the Canadian economy gets worse, even worse cuts to data are very possible. Sandy?
Okay, thank you, Abigail. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, among 40 American cities slashing airline capacity, a slowdown on flight traffic that begins tomorrow and could affect Canadian travelers. It's the result of a government shutdown that's now the longest in U.S. history. CTV senior correspondent Heather Wright on the ripple effect expected right through Canadian systems. Heather.
Well, Sandy, travelers we've spoken with are taking a wait-and-see approach, hoping for the best but expecting delays in the days ahead.
It's a standard Thursday at Canada's largest airport, but travelers are bracing for turbulence.
It's really unfortunate.
Transportation officials in the United States plan to slash air traffic by 10% at 40 major airports, including New York, Washington, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Reductions set to begin Friday. The Federal Aviation Administration and U.S. Transportation Department say traffic reduction is necessary to ease pressure on air traffic controllers and security screening agents who have been working without pay during the 36-day U.S. government shutdown.
If I was working, I sure as hell wouldn't want to be working without any pay.
This has worsened staff shortages, caused widespread flight delays and long security lines at American airports. And since many Canadian travelers are bound for U.S. destinations, both passengers and carriers here are expected to feel the pinch.
They're not exempt from this reduction. They will be affected by it. And the question is going to be, what does that mean?
WestJet says so far their operations have not been impacted. We are continuing to monitor the situation and proactively manage our operations to minimize any potential disruptions going forward. While Air Canada says we are monitoring the situation and awaiting more details. Adding, for customers who may be connecting onto U.S. domestic flights operated by our partner United Airlines, we have put in place a goodwill policy to allow them to change or defer their travel with no change fee.
Experts warn even domestic flights could be impacted. For example, a flight from Toronto to Vancouver spends about half of its flight in U.S. airspace. Carriers could opt to fly through Canadian skies to avoid any disruptions, but that would add another hour to the length of that flight. Sandy.
Okay, CTV's Heather Wright. Things are about to get worse for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Not only did his older brother, King Charles, strip him of his titles, including Prince, now Andrew's been asked to appear before the U.S. House Oversight Committee as part of a criminal investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon is with us now. Okay, Joy, who in Washington is demanding that Andrew testify?
Yeah, Sandy, after the humiliation of losing those titles and his royal estate, the Washington Post is reporting a congressional committee wants to have a word with Andrew. Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on the Epstein committee, sent a letter to the former prince requesting that he sit down for an interview. Now, it's not a subpoena, but they see Andrew as a potential key witness. The Post says Andrew's name appears on multiple documents that the committee has obtained, including flight logs to Epstein's private island, where young women were sexually abused. Here's CTV's royal commentator.
If he doesn't go, if he ignores this letter, then that will reinforce the thought that lots of people have that he just does not care about the victims, does not care about what he was potentially involved in, and does not want to be held accountable for his actions.
Okay, so Joy, let's pick up on that. He is a British citizen, so can Andrew be compelled by Congress to fly to the U.S. and appear before committee?
Look, Andrew denies any wrongdoing, but there is little sympathy with all the damaging headlines out there and the recent book by Virginia Giuffre alleging she was forced to have sex with Andrew as a teenager. Now, in the past, Andrew said he would, under the right conditions, testify under oath. But Congress, you're right, cannot compel foreign nationals to testify, and the former prince could simply ignore the summons. He has until November 20th to respond. Sandy?
Okay, Joy, thanks so much. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon. Andrew's nephew, the Prince of Wales, delivered a different kind of message today ahead of a United Nations climate change conference in Brazil. William saying the world must act now.
This here at COP30 is our moment. Let us not waste it. Our children and grandchildren are watching and hoping. Today,
Prince William announced the 5th edition of his Earthshot Prize, offering more than $1 million to projects aimed at fighting climate change. The COP30 summit takes place next week. Now, William's brother, Harry, is in Toronto visiting veterans in the lead up to Remembrance Day, and he's apologizing to Canada for wearing an LA Dodgers hat during the World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Prince spoke to CTV's John Vanavali Rao about the controversy and the old soldiers he met today in this exclusive interview. John.
Sandy, this is the issue Prince Harry is most passionate about, supporting those who've served in uniform. The Prince's visit took him to Toronto's Sunnybrook Veterans Centre, the biggest care facility of its kind in the country.
How old are you now? Almost 102.
Here, Prince Harry met with some of the nation's oldest veterans who served in either the Second World War or the Korean War, and the Prince seeming to really enjoy himself.
For me, it's the banter. It's the banter, it's the humor, it's the community that they are given here.
Here, veterans are taking part in creative art therapies, where both art and music are used to help vets with their physical and mental health. Brenda Reed, who's 101, thrilled to meet the Prince.
He certainly has lots of charm. You just talk to him. I practically called him Harry.
Prince Harry's, of course, a veteran himself. He did 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan with the British Armed Forces, saying he's just one of a long list of family members to visit veterans here.
My aunt's been here, grandmother's been here, my great-grandmother's been here. So it's a real privilege for me to be able to be here.
The Prince helping to paint poppies on a military helmet, one of several being auctioned off by the military charity True Patriot Love.
I just wanted to give you the offer.
And towards the end of the visit, a moment of levity, the Prince was presented with a Blue Jays hat. He was widely criticized across the country after being spotted at Dodgers Stadium sporting a Dodgers hat during the World Series.
I would like to apologize to Canada for wearing it. Secondly, I was under duress. There wasn't much choice. I was invited to the LA Dodgers box, or the dugout, by the owner himself, so I was doing what I thought was the polite thing to do. But I'm going to wear this from now on to make sure I don't make any more of those mistakes.
As for the veterans,
it was really special.
They seemed pleased to meet the Prince. And for the veterans here, the Prince's visit today was another reminder their service is not forgotten. Sandy.
Okay, John, as always, thank you.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific.
Shame on you, Canada. Shame on you, government. Shame on you, Heath MacDonald and everybody who had the chance to do the right thing. Shame on you.
Reaction from a spokesperson for the Edgewood, BC farm, fighting for a legal stay for some 300 ostriches after Canada's Supreme Court ruled it will not hear an appeal of the cull order. So, case dismissed, but the farm is reeling. CTV's Judy Trin now on the ruling, the reaction, and the billionaire financier who got involved. Hey, Judy.
Sandy, at first the farm owners were heartbroken. Now they're defiant.
You want to know what pain looks like, Canada?
The end of a saga that began last December when dozens of birds died on the Universal Ostrich Farm.
She's going to lose everything she's ever loved for 35 years.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency found traces of H5N1 in 2 dead birds and ordered the flock to be culled to contain the virus. The farm fought the order to the Supreme Court, which dismissed the case.
We obviously are pleased to see the decision of the Supreme Court. This is a decision that is following the science and evidence.
More than 300 birds will now be euthanized. Virologists say testing the birds is not an option.
There's really no
practical way to actually test these birds. We don't know where the birds might be shedding virus if they are indeed still infected. These are 7 to 9 foot tall birds that are very strong, very fast, very dangerous to people.
Under the Health of Animals Act, the CFIA can now move ahead with depopulation and disposal and warns that attempts to obstruct the work of its officers could result in prosecution. Dozens of protesters continue their watch.
Today you test our faith like you've never tested our faith before.
Praying for a change of heart. The farm was supported by members of the Trump administration, including Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Chief of Medicare Dr. Mehmet Oz. An American billionaire also contributed $50,000 to the farm's legal fight and is asking Prime Minister Mark Carney to intervene.
I am asking for sympathy and I'm asking for common sense to prevail.
This culling of poultry or stamping out policy that the CFIA is carrying out is an international guideline that numerous countries have adopted, including the U.S. The aim is to contain outbreaks. Sandy.
Okay, Judy, thank you so much. Now, the Supreme Court of Canada has also decided to hear appeals challenging Saskatchewan's school pronoun law. The law was challenged by the Regina organization You Are Pride. It prevents children from under 16 from changing their names or pronouns at school without a parent's consent. Saskatchewan invoked the notwithstanding clause in passing it. No date has been set yet for the hearing. And a high-profile Democrat who carved out a place in American political history says she will not run in next year's midterms.
That is why I want you, my fellow San Franciscans, to be the first to know. I will not be seeking re-election to Congress.
Nancy Pelosi was the first woman to ever serve as the powerful U.S. House Speaker. The 85-year-old Congresswoman was first elected in 1987 and was at the forefront of political battles with Donald Trump in his first term, famously ripping up a State of the Union speech. Her decision comes as her husband Paul is still recovering from a violent attack in their home in 2022 by an intruder who was looking for her. Pelosi will serve the final year of her term. We'll be back. Canada's largest province is predicting a deficit of $13.5 billion this year. That is less than the Ontario government projected in its spring budget.
We tabled our big, bold vision for the province in the budget in May, and we're executing against that plan.
Well, the deficit projection in Ontario's fall fiscal update shrank by $1 billion. The unemployment rate is expected to rise by nearly a full percentage point. An international student has been sentenced to life in prison in a mass stabbing case that shocked and horrified the Ottawa suburb of Barrhaven. A 20-year-old had earlier pleaded guilty to murdering 6 people, including a mother, her 4 children, and a family friend in a stabbing rampage at a home last March. The youngest victim was only 2 months old. The woman's husband was seriously injured in the attack. The accused was living in the house with the family at the time. A car fire at a Guelph, Ontario home is being treated as an act of arson. It left the owner, a former immigrant from the Congo, shaken and fearing for his family.
When you come here, you have a sense of security, and now we are losing that. Car kept burning, explosion after explosion. It was really scary.
Security video captured the raging flames, while another surveillance video caught an unknown person approaching the car before the explosion. It's unclear if the act, which also damaged the home, was random or targeted. And concerns for the environment are growing, with cleanup efforts still underway after a train derailment near Kamloops, BC on Saturday spilled more than 80,000 liters of aviation fuel. The train went off the track, sending 17 cars and a locomotive tumbling down a steep slope towards Kamloops Lake, where 2 cars remain submerged. No one was hurt, and the cause of the derailment is under investigation. Well, we've been following the story of award-winning cinematographer Kirk Neff, diagnosed with essential tremors disorder. Today, he shares the moment of truth after brain surgery with chief anchor Omar Sachedina.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm in space. Like just, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like hovering. It's crazy, look at that.
Have you ever seen your hand like that?
No.
That stable?
No, never.
I don't think I have either.
Like, that's incredible.
What type of impact has this had?
You saved my life. You saved my career.
And you can watch part 3 of Kirk's journey on CTV National News with Omar Sajidina tonight at 11 and also on ctvnews.ca. Just ahead, a make-or-break holiday season, how Canadian crafters are coping with the U.S. trade war. The holiday season is just around the corner, and for many small businesses, it's usually the time to cash in. But Donald Trump's trade war has changed everything. CTV's Garrett Berry went to a Christmas craft fair to see if tariffs will be the Grinch that steals Christmas.
The sleigh bells are ringing pretty early, but these vendors have had this date circled for months.
We actually started prepping for this in August. So Christmas for us starts in the summer.
Today's start of this craft fair feels like the firing gun for the make or break Christmas season.
If you're a collector of craft, you want to be here on the first day. So if you want to get anything that's unique, it's going to go first.
Even more crucial for business owner Liz Comden, who has suddenly lost a quarter of her market because she shut down shipments to the USA.
It's relationships that we've cultivated over the years that you have to send the email and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't help you this year.
These crafters have been through an awful lot in the past few years. The COVID-19 pandemic, the Canada Post shutdowns, and now American tariffs. It's the end of the de minimis exception that's hurting the most. That rule allowed companies to send small shipments across the border easily, tariff-free. Some goods still qualify, but the regulatory rules have become a headache.
It's just a lot of paperwork and a lot of miscommunication, and a lot of times the products still get sent back. They still get refused by customs.
So this will be another season where consumers are going to be urged to shop local. This crowd is answering that call.
This one smells amazing. It's a chocolate orange. And I also got a copper print.
Usually the stuff is just honestly nicer than what you would find in like the typical department stores.
And these sellers hope there are many more to come. Garrett Berry, CTV News in Torbay, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you for sharing your time with us this Thursday. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Omar is here later tonight. Heather will be here tomorrow. But first, your local CTV News is coming up. Bye for now. Be well.